Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jantam Jivite. So, I guess you're not really, we're just jumping into the middle of a story here, and some of you are, it's just, you're here for the first time, right?
Yes.
What is your name?
Nia.
Nia. So, we might try to give some context to where we are now in the Bhagavatam. We're just gonna, the Lord takes many incarnations. He takes unlimited different incarnations, Ananta Rupam. He has unlimited different forms, which is called avatars. Avatar. And one of them, which is described in the Bhagavatam, is when he takes the form of a boar. Do you know what a boar is? It's a vildsvin.
Yeah.
So, and he does that because the earth has fallen out of its orbit and has fallen down to the bottom of the ocean. And he has to, in the Vedic cosmology it is described that there is a causal ocean within every universe. And the planet had gotten out of its orbit and was on the bottom of the ocean. And therefore, this Lord Krishna took the form of a boar called Varaha, and he went down to the bottom of the ocean to pick this up. But as he was doing this, he had to the demon called Hiranyaksha, and Hiranyaksha, he is the brother of Hiranyakashipu, two great demons that were conquering the universe and actually were the cause of the planet Earth getting flowing out of its orbit. So, and therefore he had to save the earth, but then also fight with this demon Hiranyaksha. And we're now just it's in the middle of the fight between this demon and the boar, Lord Boar. So, if you have the verse, I will just recite one line. 3:19:17. Srijanmayam Yogamayeshvare harau Yam vilokya prajastrashta Meniresyopasamyamam Atoruda Srijanmayam Yogamayeshvare harau Yam vilokya prajastrasta Meniresyopasamyamam. Someone else would also like to chant this.
Atoruda Srijanmayam Yogamayeshvare harau Yam vilokya prajastrasta
Meniresyopasamyamam. Anyone else? Atoruda Srijanmayam
Yogamayeshvare harau Yam vilokya prajastrasta
Meniresyopasamyamam. Yamam. Atorudasrijanmayam Yogamayeshvare Haro Yam Vilokya Prajastrasta Meniresyo Samyamam. Then we do word to word. Ata, then, urudha, in many ways, asrija, he cast, mayam, conjuring tricks, yogamaya ishvare, the Lord of Yogamaya, Haro, at Hari, Yam, which, Vilokya, after seeing, Rajaha, the people, Rashtaha, fearful, Menire, thought, Asya, of the universe, Upasamyamam, the dissolution. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome here.
Thank you.
We start asking the verse.
3, 1970. So we'll read the short purport or translation and short purport by Srila Prabhupada. The demon, however, employed many conjuring tricks against the personality of God, who is the Lord of Yogamaya. At the sight of this, the people were filled with alarm and thought that the dissolution of the universe was near. The fighting enjoyment of the Supreme Lord with his The fighting enjoyment of the Supreme Lord with his devotee, who had been converted into a demon, appeared severe enough to bring about the dissolution of the universe. This is the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the wavering of his little finger appears to be a great and very dangerous movement in the eyes of the inhabitants of the universe. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Shakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Nadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamshta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I sincerely seek also that there's so many singers here, all of your blessings, and for saying something about Srimad Bhagavatam. In the third canto, when Maitreya starts speaking, he gives a very beautiful verse before he starts speaking, saying, Tatapi kirtayam yanga yatamati yatashrutam kirtim hare svam satkartum giram anya bitasatim. So he says that despite my inability, my lacking in understanding of the Bhagavatam and realization, I'll try to say something yatamati yatashrutam, according to my intelligence, what I ever have been able to assimilate from yatashrutam, from what I've heard from my seniors. So I'll try to say something according to my understanding and realization, in line with Srila Prabhupada and what I've heard from the seniors, and asking the blessings of Tapas Prabhu, of course. I feel honored to come here and be in his temple where his legacy is carried on. So, the Lord, he's in a fierce fight with the demon. Fierce fight. And Prabhupada here writes in the purport, the fighting enjoyment of the Supreme Lord with his devotee, who has been converted into demon, appeared severe enough to bring about the dissolution of the universe. So the Lord is having a fight with a demon, and actually this demon, there is a long backstory to it, but he is actually a devotee who got a curse to become a demon. And actually this was all the Lord's plans, because the real purpose for this fight is because the Lord wants to have some fighting. Isn't it? There's, even in this world, people enjoy very much to watch people fighting. There is so much money put into the industry of, TV on just fighting shows. And the Lord similarly, where is this coming from? It's coming from the Lord originally. So the Lord, he enjoys all kinds of relationships, and one of them is fighting. And today I thought we would speak a little about this unique rasa. Have any of you heard about rasa before? Rasa means this mellow or exchange of in a relationship, that the feeling that a relationship produces. So in the let's say the Vedas there, or in the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures, there is a mention of 12 different types of rasas, where 5 are primary and 7 are secondary. So in our relation to the Lord, in our connection with the Lord, we can have different types of relationships, different rasas. And anyone knows what the 5 primary rasas is?
Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya.
Yes. So Shanta means a neutral relationship of just support, basically, or appreciation. And then there's Dasya, means with a servitorship to the Lord. Generally, in the most of religions of the world, you consider yourself as the servant and God as the master, right? But in the Vedic understanding and theology, it goes much deeper than just Dasya. That is just the beginning, but there is also friendship with the Lord, Sakya. And then there is also Vatsalya, parental relationship with the Lord. You can have the relationship with the Lord as a parent to the Lord. Isn't that amazing? And then also there is the most sweet and intimate relationship you can have with the Lord, which is Madhurya, which means a conjugal, loving relationship with the Lord. And we see that the inhabitants of Vrindavan is having all of these different kinds. Nanda Yashoda having a parental affection for Krishna, the gopis, which has a loving relationship with him, and so on. So these are the 5 primary characteristics. But within this 5, there's also secondary rasas, which comes to even increased enjoyment even more. And they are of different. One of them is horror. How does horror increase the rasa? But just see, there's this horror movies on the cinema, and people love to go watch horror movies because it creates some kind of rasa, So similarly, sometimes also when a friend, he stands behind the corner, and when the friend comes, he jumps out and scares their friend. And it's a horror, you know, you get freaked out, you maybe even punch your friend or something out of, you're so scared. But it's kind of, it's an enjoyment between the friends, right? So then there's also Virya Rasa, which means chivalry or fighting or competition like that. So Vira or Virya Rasa means that the fight. And Krishna, he's with his friends in Vrindavan, he's fighting. They're climbing up on each other's shoulders and they're wrestling and they are fighting each other. But Krishna cannot really, really fight to his, it's just his friends there in Vrindavan. So he also desires a real fight sometimes. And for that, he cannot really do with his devotees in the spiritual world. He has to go to the material world where he can fight with some demons. And that is the situation which we are in here now. The Lord Varaha, the boar incarnation of Krishna, is fighting with the demon Hiranyaksha. And they are exchanging this Vira Rasa in some way for the enjoyment of the Lord. So there is one book which speaks about the Rasa a lot, which is written by our Acharyas. Can you have any guess?
Nectar of Devotion.
Yes, Nectar of Devotion, which was translated by Srila Prabhupada and is written by Srila Rupa Goswami. And it's also in Sanskrit one calls it the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. And there, when he starts the whole book, he says one very important statement and that is very famous also. That Krishna, that he defines the objective of the whole book, the Vastu Nirdeshan. He says, Akhila Rasamrita Murti. So Akhila Rasamrita Murti means that Krishna, he is the embodiment of all these 12 rasas. Akhila Rasamrita Murti. And that all these rasas, all this friendship, horror, everything is just, the objective is him. So all these different rasas, we are meant to reciprocate with the Lord. And he's the object of them all. And to support that, he gives a proof from Srimad Bhagavatam where this is said. And there's a very beautiful verse, I think we can read it. I'll recite it. Mallanam Ashanainrinam Naravara Strinam Smaro Murtiman Gopanam Svajana Satam Kshitibulam Sa Shashta Svapitro Shishu Mrityurboja Pater Virad Gvidusham Tatvam Param Joginam Vrishninam Paradevate Vidito Rangam Gata Sangrajo. And this beautiful verse explains that So he explains that when Krishna, when he was young, when he got a little bit older, he went from Vrindavan to Mathura to fight. He was invited to a wrestling match in the city of Mathura. And when he came there into the arena, all the people in the arena saw Krishna coming inside, and all the people, they were seeing him in different kinds of ways. And this verse, here we go. The various groups of this is a translation. The various groups of people in the arena regarded Krishna in different ways. When he entered it with his elder brother, the wrestlers saw Krishna as a lightning bolt. The men of Mathura as the best of males. The women as Cupid in person. The coward man as their relative. The impious ruler as a chastiser, his parents as their child, the king of the Borjas as death, the unintelligent as the Supreme Lord's universal form, the yogis as the absolute truth, and the Vrishnis as their supreme worshipable deity. So all these different type of people, depending, because we are all individuals, everyone has a unique relationship to Krishna. So Srila Rupa Goswami quotes this verse and just see that all people have different relationships with the Lord, but all of this are meant to please the Lord. And one of them is the Vira Rasa. And this is what we're coming to what we will speak about today. So Vira Rasa is this fighting mood, fighting rasa with the Lord. And one of them is Varaha. Do you have any other example of someone who was exchanging this Vira Rasa with the Lord? Anyone has any suggestion? Bhishmadev, yes. Anyone more? Yeah. Actually, you're correct. That was the one. Because in the first canto, Srila Prabhupada writes some beautiful purports about Bhishmadev and his relationship with the Lord. And we will read something here. Bhishmadev, he was on the bed of arrows. And Krishna came to him in his last moments, and he started offering prayers to the Lord. And this is some of his prayers. And please listen attentively, because they are so wonderful. On the battlefield, where Sri Krishna attended Arjuna out of friendship, the flowing hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hooves of the horses. And because of his labor, beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations, intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows, were enjoyed by him. Let my mind go thus to Sri Krishna. So, Bhishmadev, he was on the bed of arrows, and he remembers when he was fighting with the Lord in the battlefield. Bhishmadev, you have heard of the Kurukshetra battle in Bhagavad Gita. So Bhishma, he had taken a vow that tomorrow I'll fight so fiercely that I will kill Arjuna. And but actually why he did this was because he wanted Krishna to break his promise. Because Krishna had taken as a promise before the battle. What had he promised? Not to fight. He was going to only drive Arjuna's chariot but never fight. And therefore he was fighting so fiercely that Arjuna was becoming overpowered and severely in danger of being killed. So then what did Krishna do? Because of his intense affection for his devotees, he even decided to break his own promise not to fight. So he jumped off the chariot, he picked up a wheel from a chariot which was loose, and he started running through towards Bhishmadev with his wheel, just about to kill him. But as he was running, the sun went down and the battle for the day was over. So he never really could kill Bhishma, but he was running. And this is what he's remembering. He says that the flowing hair of Krishna turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hooves of the horses. So he's seeing this beautiful form of Krishna when he's standing on the battlefield. And that is his Lord. He doesn't think of Krishna with the flute in Vrindavan. He's thinking of him in the battlefield with blood scars and ashen hair because of the dust. I'll show you a beautiful picture from the BBT of this scene, which is, it's so beautiful. See here. Can you all see? Or maybe you can come in. So Krishna is running, and he says at the end here, all these decorations intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows were enjoyed by him. So actually he had hurt the Lord. There were scars on the Lord's body of the arrows, which he shot on Krishna. Can you imagine shooting God, and that is a service? With arrows. And listen to this purport. The Lord is the absolute form of eternity, bliss and knowledge. As such, transcendental loving service to the Lord is one of the 5 principal relations. Namely, namely Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. This is neutrality, servitorship, fraternity, filial affection, and conjugal love. Is graciously accepted by the Lord when offered in genuine love and affection. Here, Sri Bhishmadev is a great devotee of the Lord in the relationship of servitorship. Primarily he is in Dasya Ras, but then he is showing this chivalrous mood now to the Lord. Thus, his throwing of sharp arrows at the transcendental body of the Lord is as good as the worship of another for a devotee who throws soft roses upon him. So his shooting of the arrows is just as pleasing as someone throwing flowers at the Lord. So Krishna, he really enjoys this fighting mood, and it is just like us throwing flowers on the Lord. This our arrows which have hurt the Lord. And then he goes further to explain here this his prayers that may he, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, may be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me as if angry because of wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered and his body was smeared with blood due to wounds. So he's seeing this form of Krishna in front of him with blood all over his body, and who is running towards him, as you saw in the picture there. You can keep it there, you can see. And then he says, he makes a final prayer saying, let my mind be fixed upon Lord Sri Krishna, whose motion, smiles, and love attracted the damsels. Oh, this is Ajanta. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand. He has a whip in his right hand. And the bridal robe in his left. He has the reins to the horses in the left hand. Who is very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. So you notice here that Krishna, Bhishma, there is no, Krishna in Vrindavan for him. There is no flute and, cowherd stick or something. But it is the whip and the reins to the horses, and there is a form which blood. It's very, amazing. This is the fantastic beauty of Krishna, that he has all of these different rasas which he exchanges with the devotees simultaneously, according to the devotee's particular inclination. And now we will read the purport to the previous verse here, and this is really on the topic of what we've been hearing today, this fighting spirits. The dealings of Lord Krishna and Bhishmadev on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are interesting, because the activities of Lord Krishna appear to be partial to Arjuna and at enmity with Bhishmadev. But factually, all this was especially meant to show special favor to Bhishmadev, a great devotee of the Lord. The astounding feature of such dealing is that the devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. So one can play a part of the enemy and please the Lord. The Lord, being absolute, can accept service from his pure devotee, even in the garb of an enemy. The Supreme Lord cannot have any enemy, nor can a so-called enemy harm him, because he is Ajit, or unconquerable. But still he takes pleasure when his devotee beats him like an enemy, or rebukes him from a superior position. Although no one can be superior to the Lord, there are some of the transcendental reciprocatory dealings of the devotee with the Lord. And those who have no information of pure devotional service cannot penetrate into the mystery of such dealings. Bhishmadev played the part of a valiant warrior, and he purposely pierced the Lord body, so that uncommon eyes, so that to the uncommon eyes, it appeared that the Lord was wounded. But factually, all this was to bewilder the non-devotees. The all-spiritual body cannot be wounded, and the devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Bhishmadev would not have desired to have the very same Lord as the ultimate destination of his life. Had Bhishmadev been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna could have annihilated him without even moving. There was no need to come before Bhishmadev with blood and wounds, but he did so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wounds created by a pure devotee. This is the way of exchanging transcendental rasa, or relations, between the Lord and the servitor. By such dealings, both the Lord and the devotee become glorified in their respective positions. The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving towards Bhishmadev. When he was running, I think you can see here, is he still there? You see, Arjuna is stopping him because the Lord was so angry when he was running. He wanted to kill him. So the Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving towards Bhishmadev. But in spite of Arjuna's checking, he proceeded towards Bhishmadev. And here comes a very beautiful. He proceeded towards Bhishmadev as a lover goes to a lover. So, despite he's so angry and wants to kill him, but actually this is more superficial. It's like a lover going to a lover in the exchange of vidyaras. So, as a lover goes to a lover without caring for any hindrances. So Krishna was determined, and that is the beauty of Krishna. And this might seem a bit far out, should I start shooting arrows like did this, or not very practical. What is this? But as Prabhupada was mentioning in this purpose, when we hear this glorious, wonderful, spectacular pastimes of the Lord and His relationship with His different devotees, which are very unique, we can become amazed and we can appreciate and become more attracted. Because Prabhupada said, this is to make both the devotees more glorified and the Lord more glorious. So we can, when we try to become Krishna conscious, we should try to understand who is this Krishna who we want to become conscious of. And this is the perfect way of hearing about his wonderful relationship with his devotees. And there's so many other examples. One other is like of this wonderful bit esoteric relationships is there's a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. His name was Kolavecha Sridhar. And he was a very, very poor Brahmin in Bengal. And he was selling banana leaves, bananas, banana stems. Like, he was just making a small living, and he was keeping very cheap prices for his there. And he just wanted to, maintain himself so that he could worship the Ganga. And then Lord Chaitanya would come every day to this Kolavecha Sridhar Brahmin, and he would say, "My God, you're putting so high prices. You're such a cheater." And he would chastise Kolavecha Sridhar. And Kolavecha Sridhar said, "Please, my Lord, Nimaya, I'm just trying to survive. You have to have some understanding, And he was saying, "No, I will only pay half the price," Lord Chaitanya would say, or Nimai at that time. And then they would be bargaining, and for hours. Before lunch, they were just bargaining all the time about the price. And at the end, Nimai would take the bananas and he would go away without paying anything, and then the Brahmin would come and steal them back and say, chastise him, and then at the end he would pay half the price and he would go away. And Kolavecha Sridhar was, having this relationship with the Lord. But then at the end of Lord Chaitanya, or in the Mahaprakash Leela, which is a time where Lord Chaitanya, he was meeting different devotees and revealing his form as Krishna. And then he said, called Kulavachashidhar, he said, now please ask me for benediction. And Kulavachashidhar, he didn't want anything, he just asked, my Lord, please just let me continue bargaining about the price for the bananas and the spiritual, that is my desire. So he just wanted the eternal relationship with the Lord, where he could bargaining about the price for the bananas and the banana leaves. So there's so many unique, and unimaginable relationships that one can have with the Lord. And this should just increase our appreciation for the Lord, that He is so wonderful. Nigamakalpak taror galitam phalam sukamukadamrita dravasamyutam pibhagavatam rasamalayam. So Mahurahor rasika bhuvi bhavuka. So the Bhagavatam says that the Bhagavatam, which we are reading here now, it is meant to be relished. You don't read the Bhagavatam, you drink the Bhagavatam. Pibata, you drink it. Rasam. Rasam means juice or fruit. And it is said that Nigamakalpa Taror Galitam. The Bhagavatam is like the mature fruit of all Vedic literatures. There's so many Vedic literatures, but this is the mature fruit. And the word rasam, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, means that this fruit has no skin and no seeds. It is just pure fruit. So it's meant to be relished, and you drink it just like a mango without the seed and without the skin. You just relish it, and alayam has also a very significant meaning. It means that, or one of the meanings is that you just drink it as much as you can until you faint. Just like a drunkard, he drinks alcohol until he just becomes unconscious and he just collapses. And then he wakes up, and what does he do after he wakes up? He drinks more. So similarly, we should drink Bhagavatam, hear about the Lord until we faint. And when we faint, when we wake up, we should just continue reading Bhagavatam. So this is the perfection. We should become like drunkards. And actually the original drunkard, that is Lord Nityananda, he was always absorbed in the Krishna, in the chanting of the holy name, and becoming completely intoxicated by it. So this is the wonderful pastimes that we can have with the Lord. So, and we might not be there. We shouldn't prematurely jump trying to have this kind of more esoteric relationship with the Lord. We start with serving, and then gradually we will have experience. It will be revealed to us that there is so high dimensions of love that we can exchange with the Lord. And this is the amazing thing about the Vaishnava theology and Gaudiya Vaishnava theology, because it's so deep. There's so much detail. It's so intimate. So, yeah, that was something I had to say, and was there something more? Yeah, something, at least, also one very special rasa, which I'm experiencing at the moment, that is to go on Sankirtan. Now it's the December, usually we do this Prabhupada Marathon, and I have been out all the December distributing books, and that is a fantastic experience, and you really see Krishna's hand every day when you go out on book distribution. Just to the 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, I was out in Gamla Stan, and there's a Christmas market. I don't know if you've been there. And I was very difficult day, and then I just approached one lady there, and she was from Brazil, and she lived in Berlin, and I was showing, and we started speaking. Oh yeah, are you a monk? Okay, wow, that's amazing. And then she took, I gave her one of these signs of self-realization, with the Paramatma on the front, and she was saying, wow, this is really amazing. I've been listening to this, what is it? I've been listening, this philosopher from Brazil, there was some, kind of, and he was always mentioning this Bhakti, and I was thinking, Bhakti? And she was, no. And I was saying, okay, but at least take this book and you can give a donation. And we were speaking, speaking about meditation yoga, and she was into all these kinds of things, and that all religions actually are presenting in essence the same truth. And then I was saying, actually I have one more book also, and I took out my Bhagavad Gita and I showed it to her, and then she was just looking at me with big eyes, and she was saying, that is it, that's the one I was speaking about. And she was kind of freaking out and screaming, oh my God, this is the one I've been looking for. And Lakshman, he was on the other side of the street, and he was looking, what is going on? And I was looking at him like in complete ecstasy. And she was like, this is it. And then she searched up and she showed me, this is the one I'm listening to. And she all the time mentions this book. And she took the Gita and she said, how can I pay? And she didn't have any Swish or cash. We actually have a card reader even. In Gamlastan there's so many tourists. So she gave a generous donation. That was a fantastic. And this is also like, I had such a tough day, but just, seeing the Lord reciprocate in such a way was so wonderful. And when we do this, the Sankirtan, and we try to share Krishna consciousness, when we try to practice Krishna consciousness, we will experience the Lord in our life. And it is just a matter of staying in good association and sincerely practicing with humility. So I thank you very much for inviting me here. I feel very blessed to be in your association and purified. It's association of devotees is everything, and it is so powerful. I have another story, but maybe time is up. Okay. The power of the devotee association, which also happened here in Stockholm on Sankirtan. I was in Drottninggatan, and I think I met you that same day also. You remember when we met there in the Hötorget crossing? Yes. So that day, a little bit later that day, it was also a really tough day. Generally when you have the most ecstatic experiences is when you have the most tough day. Sankirtan means that we go out and distribute books. Have you seen that also when we do?
Yes.
Yes. So, and I have this story just written down because I want to... Anyway, it was so stressed, but then just one, guy stops, and I was saying, oh, you look so spiritual, man. And he was saying, oh, wow, yeah. And he said, actually, I think I could be a Hare Krishna. and then I said, what? Hare Krishna, how did you know? I was in Dhoti, but generally people don't recognize it like that. And then he was starting telling me that, yeah, actually, long time ago I was in India, and I was in Mumbai, and I was just drifting around. And he was just getting completely lost. He just lost himself in Mumbai. I have never been there, but I guess it's quite easy to get lost in Mumbai. And suddenly, he just ends up in front of a temple. And this is just a Swedish, normal, middle-aged man. And he ends up in front of a temple, and it says, Iskon Chopati. Which is one of the big temples there. And then there's a monk coming out, and he says, please come in. And they give him prasadam, they show him around and explain about philosophy. And he was so amazed. And then he says, please, I want to show you someone very, very special. And then he took this man, it was just a few years back he had done this. And he says, come up, and they walk up some stairs, and they come up, and they go into a room, and he comes in, and as he comes in, he said, I just started crying. I was crying and crying. And then there was this special person in front of him, and he says, I met Radhanath Swami. And I was just, wow, here I am in Drottninggatan, and then there's this guy who had gotten lost in Mumbai, and just one moment of that association with Radhanath Swami, and he just started crying, and he was, he's completely changed. And he says, I'm not a Hare Krishna, but Radhanath Swami, he just, that short amount of association just changed him so much. And that just gave me, realization how it's really, the Bhagavatam says, or the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastre Koi, Lava Matra, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That even a Lava Matra, even just a second, an 11th of a second, can give one all perfection. That is the significance of Sadhu Sangha. So, it's I'm very fortunate. We can keep not just 1 second, but my whole life been able to stay with devotees, and it is the greatest benediction.
Very fortunate.
Yes, thank you. And I've been Udaranga. You have been seeing me since I was a small. Before, when I was inside my mother's womb. So thank you all and if there's any comments or corrections, questions, additions you would like to make, please come forward.
Small question. How do you understand that Krishna was lying on a bed of arrows? What does it mean, on a bed of arrows?
Yes, his body was pierced. Actually, his body was pierced through. All his body was pierced with arrows. Have you seen the picture?
You mean through? It was
Yes, going through him.
Body and he was lying
Here, and then he was lying on the.
Yeah, I saw the picture, but for me it was like yogi lying on the spikes,
Yeah, but he was pierced. But why he didn't die was because he had this benediction that he could die choose his time. So he was waiting for Krishna to come. He was waiting. It says Uttarayana, and but Uttarayana has both it's very auspicious, considered astrological, but it also, I don't remember exact explanation, but Uttarayana means also for Krishna's presence.
So actually soon, it's in the beginning of January, I think.
Okay.
This time.
Left, okay. So.
That's interesting, because here we can see Krishna's arrangement for his devotee to get into this rasa thing which happened, there on the back feet. I mean, he was a devotee all the time, and he was kind of caught up in that, Noeda and all these guys, and he was eating their food. That's also one reason why he was not fighting, he was on the wrong side of this battle, and all those things, and in the end it happens like this. And it was a grand show, the whole thing, the whole history, which was there. And this blood was going out. It was poisoned blood, because he had eaten their food. And it's very dangerous to eat food where people were envious. And so it is told that these arrows, how many they were, I don't remember, they were representing so many different aspects of purification. And so we can see him like this, but he got purified by all this, and this poisonous blood went out of his body, so he was totally pure. And then Krishna was there. So we are pure, and Krishna was there.
He could offer the beautiful prayers at the end when he was pure.
That was very interesting. You mentioned also about your Nityananda's being drunk. In the end of the story of Jadai and Madai's delivering, it was just coming to an end, and to save them. And they were in the house, but Advaita Shaya Prabhu was there, and the devotees. And Lord Advaita, he started to say that, drunkards, they love to be alone with drunkards, saying the same thing. Soon this drunkard, he will bring all these guys into this house. wonderful pastor, Chaitanya Bhagavat. And so that was like a short picture
Thank you for
about
sharing
this.
that.
And another lecturer, he said that, no Nityananda, he's just like a drunken uncle. You can ask him for anything, he will say yes, yes, yes.
Who was saying that in a lecture?
I don't remember. It was a ISKCON lecture, totally waterproof. So I don't remember who it was. Might be Satyananda Swami. But this I don't swear on it, who it was.
Yeah.
But I was laughing like anything. Yes, you recognize this.
Thank you, Doranga.
Thank you so much for your
Yeah.
contribution.
Thank you for
Hope you will come
wonderful
soon.
class.